A lot of times there's the assumption that elite boxing with great high IQ adjustments has to be pitter-patter fencing matches with very little damage done. I could say just go look at the fighters of the past 80s, 90s, 70s where they were all very intelligent but also very dangerous. But it's much easier to rely on the perfect example we have right now as the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world. Different fighters have different reactions to the same types of things. When one fighter is having an off night and he gets caught, he might turn up in response and try to get his get back. That type of fighter is Terence Crawford. It's not just styles make fights, but minds make styles, or particularly mindsets. If you look at Terence Crawford, he's almost never in a boring fight, especially over the past few years. And this is for one simple reason: risk. That word right there, risk. He's willing to step through the minefield in order to do enough damage to end fights. And probably the most important thing is that he's very intelligent while doing it. I would say the most intelligent boxer currently fighting, even over my favorite fighter, Naoya Inoue. I say Crawford is the best because I've seen him do just about everything: pressure fighting, orthodox, counter-punching, southpaw, catching counters out of a shell, slip counters out of a high guard, dominate inside fights, dominate outside fights. He's proven that his style is by far the most adaptable in the sport. Every fight is different, and everyone likes to say that, especially about their own fights, but it's rare that that's really true. Crawford is so smart and has so many tools that depending on the fighter across from him is going to be a completely different style, completely different. Not just with surface cosmetic changes, but with completely different tools and approaches to the fight. When you talk about sweet science, it's a little bit reductive to call it hit and not get hit, because what that leads to is styles that aren't conducive to the greatest entertainment value, basically tag or fencing matches. No, the real sweet science is like the science of old, where the goal wasn't just to hit and not get hit, but the goal was to hit with enough damage to end fights. We aren't just here to score points, we're here to win in dominant, brutal fashion. That's when boxing was at its peak. Crawford is a perfect example of how you can master all the sweet science but still be entertaining for all audiences. But it's all about what are you willing to risk. That's the problem now with boxing. Not just in the ring, not taking risks, but also outside with contracts. This is where the fans come in. Any sport is built by two things: the athletes that compete in it and the fans that support it. What the athletes do is go out there not just to win, but hopefully to try and win in an entertaining fashion to grow the fan base of themselves and by extension, the sport. What the fans must do is curate not only the best of these athletes in terms of their ability to win, but also their ability to entertain. You don't have to settle for something you don't like. But when you have fighters that go out there and try their damnness to fight the best, even at the detriment of their own pockets, you better, and I mean you better, show full support and loyalty to those men. The men that are out there losing money to try and fight the best. It doesn't matter if you don't like their fans or if you don't really like them for whatever reason. If that person is fighting a lot of the top guys, win or lose, give them the credit and the support they deserve, because the sport goes where the fans lead it. Fighters are afraid to take risks because when they lose, everyone is going to shit on them profusely. And if they win, people will come up with a bunch of reasons why they cherry picked or they cheated or some other reason to diminish their victory. So you don't see fighters taking top fights because it's a lose-lose scenario. You win, people make excuses that you don't deserve any credit, and you lose, people are gonna diminish your legacy. Lucky for me, I'm a fan of multiple combat sports, so I get to see how the fan bases treat fighters, and I see how it results in different attitudes of the fighters and the sport as a whole. In the UFC, you see all these fighters taking big risks, and there's a lot of extra reasons behind that. But one of them is the fans. When you take losses, they don't shit on you and tear you down, at least not for a long time. What they do is move on and go to the next opportunity, and that's what boxing has to be like again. Losses, getting dropped, taking tough fights, and having close decisions, those are all a part of the sport. Not everyone is going to be perfect. In fact, almost no one will be. But your job isn't to support perfection, it's to support fighters taking great risk. But because without great risk, there is no greatness. Like I said before, this channel isn't about tearing down fighters we don't like. It's about promoting and highlighting the fighters that we do like. That's how we elevate combat sports. And this isn't targeted at any particular fighters other than Terence Crawford. It's more so getting people to think about the fact that the sweet science doesn't have one shape or size. The science can be entertaining. It's up to fighters if they want to take the risk to make it entertaining. Fights and Science, Immortality Serum out.